Welcome to Dinar Shift. We are currently witnessing a moment of profound significance where the relentless march of time converges with the unyielding pursuit of justice. In the heart of India, one of the world's most formidable investigative bodies is locked in a high-stakes confrontation with the clock. The Central Bureau of Investigation, or CBI, finds itself in the final, critical hours of an operation that could redefine the nation's struggle against systemic corruption. A 48-hour countdown is underway, and with every passing second, the agency moves closer to a juncture that promises either a monumental victory for accountability or a deeply contentious national controversy. The pressure is immense, the stakes are astronomical, and the world is watching as events unfold that could permanently alter the landscape of power and governance in the country. This is a story of urgency, precision, and consequences that ripple far beyond any single jurisdiction. The Central Bureau of Investigation serves as India's premier federal law enforcement agency, fulfilling a role analogous to that of the Federal Bureau of Investigation in the United States. It is entrusted with investigating the most complex and sensitive cases, ranging from sophisticated financial fraud and high-level corruption to matters of grave national security. However, the current operation transcends the scope of a routine inquiry. For the past 6 months, the CBI has been meticulously unraveling a vast and intricate web of corruption that is reported to stretch across numerous states, involving multiple government departments, and even extending through international financial conduits. This is not merely an investigation into individual wrongdoing, but an expose of an alleged network that has deeply embedded itself within the very structures of authority, making this final deadline a moment of national importance. The genesis of this sprawling case can be traced back half a year to a series of seemingly disparate corruption complaints filed in various regions across India. Initially, these were handled as isolated incidents by local law enforcement agencies, appearing to be nothing more than routine instances of malfeasance. However, as investigators delved deeper into the preliminary evidence, a startling pattern began to emerge. They noticed a consistent methodology, the recurrence of certain names across different complaints, and financial trails that, despite their geographic separation, seemed to converge. This growing body of evidence pointed towards a far more coordinated and organized enterprise than was first imagined, prompting a fundamental reassessment of the situation and escalating the inquiry to a national level. The realization that these were not random acts but interconnected components of a larger, systemic operation led to a pivotal decision. All related complaints were consolidated into a single, comprehensive mega case, which was then officially handed over to the Central Bureau of Investigation. From that moment, the agency understood it had uncovered something of unprecedented scale and complexity. It was a multi-layered corruption network that had allegedly operated with impunity for years, skillfully exploiting legal loopholes and a smokescreen of counterfeit paperwork to conceal its activities. This prompted the mobilization of multiple specialized CBI divisions, bringing together cybercrime experts, forensic accountants, and seasoned financial investigators who began working in concert under a strict veil of secrecy to untangle the deeply woven threads of the network. The culmination of this exhaustive 6-month effort now hinges on a critical 48-hour window. Within the Indian legal framework, this deadline is of paramount importance. When an investigative agency concludes its probe, it is mandated to submit a formal charge sheet to the court. This document is a comprehensive summary of the investigation, meticulously listing all gathered evidence, sworn witness statements, and the specific legal charges being brought against each accused individual. This charge sheet must be filed within a statutorily defined period. A failure to meet this deadline can severely compromise the prosecution's case, potentially allowing suspects to challenge the proceedings on procedural grounds or even secure bail, which could unravel months of painstaking work. This legal imperative is precisely why the atmosphere within the CBI's headquarters is currently described as being electric with focused intensity. As we speak, teams of officers, lawyers, and analysts are working around the clock in a final, concerted push. The activity is relentless, with groups meticulously reviewing voluminous files, cross-verifying digital forensic data one last time, and legal experts fine tuning the language of the final charge sheet to ensure it is legally unassailable. Inside these secure offices, the task at hand is far more than mere paperwork. It is a strategic battle against time itself. Every minute that ticks by brings these dedicated public servants closer to a defining moment, one that will determine whether their efforts result in justice being served or in a significant setback for the rule of law. According to sources familiar with the process, the final hours of this operation are concentrated on three major, non-negotiable components. The first is an exhaustive final verification of all evidence. Every single document, every witness statement, and every piece of digital data must be rigorously re-examined to ensure there are absolutely no errors or inconsistencies. Even a minor discrepancy, such as a mismatched date or a clerical error, could be seized upon by experienced defense lawyers to challenge the credibility of the entire case presented by the prosecution. This stage demands an almost superhuman level of attention to detail, as the integrity of the entire investigation rests upon the accuracy of its foundational evidence. The second critical component being finalized is the overarching legal strategy. This involves the crucial decisions regarding precisely who will be charged and under which specific sections of Indian law. The complexities are immense, as different individuals within the alleged network may face a variety of charges, ranging from direct involvement in corruption and bribery to broader charges of criminal conspiracy or intricate financial fraud. The legal teams are carefully weighing the strength of the evidence against each suspect to construct the most robust possible case for the prosecution. This strategic phase is about ensuring that the charges are not only appropriate, but are also supported by an undeniable chain of evidence that can withstand the intense scrutiny of a high-profile court trial. The third and final piece of this complex puzzle is the seamless coordination with other governmental bodies. Given that the alleged corruption spans multiple jurisdictions and involves various forms of financial crime, the CBI must work in lockstep with agencies such as the Enforcement Directorate, which investigates money laundering, the Income Tax Department, and various local police units. This collaboration is essential to ensure that once the charge sheet is filed and accepted by the court, any subsequent actions, such as arrests or the seizure of assets, can be carried out smoothly and without any procedural hitches. This delicate balance of speed, precision, and interagency cooperation in these final hours is absolutely crucial to prevent years of investigative effort from unraveling at the last moment. To truly grasp the monumental scale of this investigation, one must visualize the sheer volume of material that has been amassed. The CBI's evidence room for this specific case is reportedly overflowing, containing entire rooms filled with physical files, secure hard drives holding terabytes of digital data, and countless sealed boxes of documentary proof. Investigators have painstakingly traced complex money trails that snake through dozens of different banks, often crossing international borders in an attempt to obscure their origin and destination. They have identified and mapped out numerous shell companies, which are corporate entities that exist solely on paper, created for the express purpose of laundering illicit funds and making the flow of money nearly impossible to follow. Among the more startling discoveries made during the investigation was a systemic pattern of awarding lucrative government contracts. It was found that contracts, some worth hundreds of crores of rupees, were repeatedly granted to the same few companies, even in instances where their submitted bids were significantly higher than those of their competitors. Further investigation revealed that these favored companies had direct and demonstrable connections to certain high-ranking officials, forming what appears to be a deeply entrenched system of favoritism and bribery. The deeper the investigators dug, the more pervasive the roots of this alleged corruption seemed to be, suggesting that this was not the work of a few rogue individuals, but a sophisticated system built to exploit power for personal and corporate gain. In another series of major revelations, investigators successfully uncovered a vast portfolio of assets allegedly linked to individuals within this network. These assets included significant real estate holdings, fleets of luxury vehicles, and undisclosed financial accounts in foreign countries. Properties were reportedly purchased using large sums of cash that did not align with the declared income of the individuals involved, a classic hallmark of financial crime. The discovery of overseas bank accounts, combined with intercepted digital communications between suspects, pointed towards a highly organized and disciplined operation. The use of coded language in emails and private messages to discuss financial transactions and kickbacks surprised even senior CBI officers, who described it as akin to uncovering a clandestine parallel economy operating within the legitimate framework of the government. The challenges facing the Central Bureau of Investigation extend far beyond the monumental task of organizing paperwork and verifying data. One of the most significant threats in these final 48 hours is the potential for external interference. When an investigation implicates high-profile and powerful individuals, pressure can be exerted from numerous directions, including political, corporate, and sometimes even internal sources. To safeguard the integrity of the operation, the CBI has implemented extraordinary security measures. Protection for key officers involved in the case has been significantly increased, and all sensitive files, both physical and digital, are being held under heightened security protocols to prevent tampering or unauthorized access. To further fortify their position against any potential disruptions, multiple backup copies of all digital evidence have been created and are being stored in secure, undisclosed off-site locations. Access to critical databases related to the case has been severely restricted to only a handful of senior officials, a measure designed to prevent any last-minute leaks that could compromise the legal strategy or alert suspects. Investigators are working in continuous shifts, with some team members working through the night while others take brief periods of rest before returning to their duties. The prevailing mood within the agency is described by insiders as being intensely focused and resolute, driven by the shared understanding that meeting this deadline is not just a procedural requirement, but an absolute necessity. Meanwhile, the investigation has captured the full attention of the public and the media, which are following the developments with unprecedented interest. News channels are providing continuous updates, related hashtags are trending across various social media platforms, and citizens throughout India are anxiously awaiting the outcome. For many, this case has come to represent more than just another corruption scandal. It has become a crucial test of the resilience and impartiality of India's core institutions. The questions being asked in public forums and private conversations are a reflection of a nation's hope and skepticism. Will justice finally be delivered? Or will influential figures once again manage to evade accountability through power and influence? The CBI, fully aware of these heightened public expectations, has maintained a disciplined silence, issuing no official statements that could prematurely reveal details of their case. The agency's leadership understands that any unguarded remark could potentially compromise their meticulously crafted legal strategy or provide an advantage to the defense. Despite this official reticence, small fragments of information continue to surface through informal channels, keeping the public engaged as the final hours of the countdown tick away. This dynamic has created a nationwide sense of anticipation, with millions of people invested in the outcome of a process that is unfolding behind the closed doors of the country's most elite investigative agency. Behind those closed doors, the final drafting of the charge sheet is an exercise in extreme legal precision. Teams of legal experts are reviewing every single argument, every citation, and every piece of referenced evidence to ensure that each claim is substantiated by irrefutable proof. The final document is expected to be a veritable tome, potentially running into thousands of pages, containing detailed forensic analysis reports, authenticated bank records, and the full transcribed testimonies of over 200 witnesses. The emphasis is not merely on the quantity of evidence, but on the clarity and coherence with which it is presented to the court. In high-stakes legal battles such as this, the clarity of the prosecution's narrative can often be the deciding factor between a conviction and an acquittal. The level of meticulousness being applied to this final document is extraordinary. Every line is being scrutinized to ensure it meets the strictest legal standards required for admissibility in court. Every reference to a law or a precedent is being double-checked for accuracy and applicability. According to internal sources, even punctuation and formatting are being reviewed multiple times to eliminate any possible ambiguity that a defense attorney could potentially exploit. This painstaking process underscores the gravity of this moment for the CBI. They are not simply filing a report, they are constructing a legal fortress designed to withstand the inevitable onslaught of challenges from some of the most skilled defense lawyers in the country. The potential impact of this case extends far beyond the fate of the individuals involved. Should the CBI successfully file a robust charge sheet that withstands legal challenges and leads to convictions, it could establish historic precedent for how complex corruption cases are prosecuted in India for generations to come. A successful outcome could become a template for future investigations, demonstrating how to effectively dismantle sophisticated, multi-state corruption networks. It could also lead to improved protocols for coordination between different law enforcement agencies and set new, higher standards for the handling and presentation of digital evidence in court, ultimately sending a powerful message that no individual, regardless of their status or influence, is above the law. Conversely, a failure at this stage would have profoundly negative consequences. If the agency misses the deadline, or if the case collapses due to procedural errors or weak documentation, it could severely damage public faith in the justice system for years. Such an outcome could embolden corrupt elements and create a chilling effect, discouraging future large-scale anti-corruption efforts. This is why the next few hours are not just about meeting a procedural deadline. They represent a critical inflection point for the credibility of India's entire anti-corruption framework. The outcome of this race against time will likely have a lasting impact on governance, law enforcement, and public trust. The human element of this story is as compelling as its legal and political dimensions. Many of the CBI officers assigned to this case have reportedly not been home in days, dedicating themselves completely to the mission. Some are said to be catching a few hours of sleep on makeshift beds in their offices, surrounded by towering stacks of documents and case files. The legal teams are working through consecutive nights, sustained by a constant supply of coffee and an unwavering sense of purpose. While the tension is palpable, it is reportedly matched by an immense sense of professional pride and national duty. They are acutely aware that their work has the potential to redefine India's future. This relentless drive is fueled by the understanding that their efforts are about much more than securing convictions. They see it as a fight to protect the very integrity of the nation's democratic and administrative systems. Every rupee that can be recovered from the proceeds of corruption is a rupee that can be redirected towards public welfare, translating into more schools for children, better healthcare facilities for communities, and stronger infrastructure for the country's development. It is this profound belief that their 48-hour mission serves a purpose far greater than themselves that continues to motivate these investigators as they navigate the immense pressure of these final, decisive hours. It is important to remember that while the CBI is finalizing its offensive strategy, the defense is also preparing for the impending legal battle. The individuals implicated in this case are, by and large, well connected and have retained some of the most respected and formidable legal experts in the country. The moment the charge sheet is filed with the court, these defense teams will immediately begin a meticulous, line-by-line deconstruction of the document. They will be searching for any potential loopholes, procedural inconsistencies, or missing legal approvals that they can leverage to their client's advantage. Their strategy will involve challenging technicalities, questioning the legality of investigative procedures, and filing motions for dismissal. The Central Bureau of Investigation is fully cognizant of this reality, which is why their current focus is on ensuring every legal and procedural requirement has been fulfilled not once, but multiple times. In the highly adversarial environment of a courtroom, even what seems like a minor oversight can be magnified into a major weakness that could jeopardize the entire case. This is not simply an investigation culminating in a report. It is the opening salvo in a strategic war of legal attrition that will be played out between the prosecution and the defense under the intense glare of public and media scrutiny from around the world. The thoroughness of the CBI's work in these final hours will determine their readiness for the long fight ahead. As the final hours of the deadline rapidly approach, the CBI has reportedly entered what sources describe as a full lockdown mode. Access to their headquarters is now severely restricted, with no external visitors being permitted. All physical and digital files related to the case are under the highest level of security, and backup systems have been triple checked and secured. Even the precise timing of when the charge sheet will be physically transported and filed in court is being treated as a closely guarded secret, a tactical measure to prevent any potential last-minute disruptions or attempts at sabotage. Some unconfirmed reports even suggest that specialized security teams are on standby, ready to conduct potential arrests as soon as the court formally accepts the charge sheet. For ordinary citizens across India, watching this dramatic sequence of events unfold, this moment carries a profound emotional and symbolic weight. The nation has witnessed numerous corruption scandals over the decades, many of which unfortunately faded from public memory without any meaningful resolution or justice. This case, however, feels different to many observers. The apparent determination of the investigators, the sheer scale of the operation, and the public nature of this final countdown have ignited a renewed sense of hope that the system can and will hold the powerful to account. In coffee shops, workplaces, and homes across the country, the conversation is dominated by one question: will the CBI succeed? As the clock continues its inexorable march towards the deadline, it is clear that history is being written in real time, and in less than 2 days, the nation will have its answer.